All right. Are we all set? I think we're good. Got to turn my volume down because we're a little bit out of sync here. Anyhow, we're going to get started in our committee meeting. I guess we have Vince here with the Akron Zoo. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Vince, and tell us what you got.
Okay, everyone, I'm going to try to share my screen here. Is the host able to allow me to share the screen?
Yes,
Katie?
just a minute.
I see ya.
Can I make you the host a minute and you can do it that way?
Sure. You all see that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll be very respectful of your time. I can do this in about 6 minutes. I've gotten used to going through this with different groups, but I want to thank you tonight for taking the time to learn a little bit more about the Akron Zoo and our upcoming levy. So the mission of our zoo is to connect your life to wildlife and inspiring lifelong learning and conservation action. And right now, we focus on the Akron Zoo enhancing our community partnerships and the community in general, educational opportunities, and conservation for animals and wildlife. So this is a kind of a busy slide, but it just shows that since 2011, the Akron Zoo has grown over 14.7% in attendance. And since receiving public funding back in 2001, we've grown massive, exponentially, to now having about 400,000 visitors per year. And for Summit County, the Akron Zoo provides a really big return on investment. We had a market and feasibility study that was done, and it showed that the Akron Zoo has generated $8 in impact for every $1 of levy support. And so that's been a big impact on Summit County. We've also had a big economic impact. So since 2011, the Akron Zoo has experienced almost a 45% increase in overall economic activity across Summit County. And we've provided the equivalents of many, many jobs, over 850 full-time equivalents when you think about all of the partners that provide work for the Akron Zoo. And most importantly, in my mind, are the educational opportunities. And for many children, this is the first time they will have ever seen a lion or a penguin in their life. And so it's a place where kids come and they love to learn. And just last year, we had over 91,000 individuals that were served by educational programs. We're really proud about that, and we want to continue to see that number increase. We've served 81 school districts in Northeastern Ohio. We've provided over 131 on-ground programs, and we've reached over nearly 45,000 individuals through outreach programming. We focus on STEM, education opportunities for children. An important thing about the zoo is that we save species. And so to help save endangered species from extinction, we participate in 46 species survival plans. And to state that simply, it's a plan that we work through other zoos to make sure that we are increasing the genetic diversity of our animals. So we can ensure that there are species that won't go extinct. And we have 21 conservation projects that we do nationally and globally. We are only one of 237 accredited zoos in the country and world. We try to be a responsible steward. So with levy funding, the zoo has been able to create new habitats for the public. We have over 250 species and over 1,000 animals call the Akron Zoo home. So the big deal is November 2020, the Akron Zoo will be on the November 3rd ballot. We're requesting a 0.8 mil renewal levy, the 0.4 mil increase. To kind of give you an idea of where that lies, it would be about $2.92 per month for the owner of a $100,000 home. And this is the first time since our original levy passed 20 years ago that the zoo is asking for an increase. So we try to give back, and every household in Summit County receives back their financial investment through our Summit County Appreciation Days. So for example, for New Franklin, if you look between September 26th and October 9th, people that live in that area, you have 14 days in that period to claim your tickets. There'll be a website, on our website, we'll have a page set up where you can get free tickets to come to the zoo and enjoy that with your friends and family. We also give back through a number of free days throughout the year, including President's Day, Martin Luther King Day, backpack adventure that we do at the Akron Public Schools. We also have discounted programs, including Veterans Week, including military discounts, our Museums for All program that help those that have socioeconomic challenges. So we really try to give back there as well. And so supporting the levy, it's an investment in Summit County, our economy, education, and conservation. And it really increases STEM education programs for kids, seniors, and families. And it truly increases the involvement in species survival plans and creates opportunities for kids to learn. So supporting the levy increases partnerships with schools and organizations, and it allows the Akron Zoo to provide more educational animals in exciting habitats. We don't have a defined date yet, but we are trying very hard to bring giraffes to the zoo in the future. Over 10 years of surveys had shown the people of Summit County, they want giraffes. And so we're going to try to make that a possibility. And to endorse, there's two ways you can endorse the levy campaign. You personally can go to voteakronzoo.org, and there's a little teeny form. You fill it out, and you have personally endorsed us, or your entire council can vote to endorse. And if you'd like to do that, again, all you have to do is go to voteakronzoo.org, and you tap on make an endorsement, and you'll be able to do so. And you can always reach out to us through our website or giving us a call. And I just wanted to ask, do you have any potential questions regarding our levy or the Akron Zoo? Well, that is not a problem. So I want to thank you all today for taking the time to listen to this in your busy schedules. And I really appreciate the opportunity for you hearing what I had to say.
All right, Vince, I'd also like to say that the Akron Zoo has always been good to all my union brothers and sisters as far as your projects. I've known plenty of people that's worked on some of the habitat projects, so I know I support you in that sense. So we do appreciate that as a union carpenter that I am.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Hey, and I will chime in and say this. I was fortunate to be able to attend an event hosted by your chief officer at the zoo, and I hadn't been there in quite a while. Boy, if you haven't been there, it's a whole different zoo. You guys have done a fabulous job down there. It really, really is a real jewel. And when you talk about the basically limited numbers of zoos that there are and how you folks rank, it's an award-winning zoo as well. So we're blessed to have it here in Summit County, for sure.
Oh, and thank you. We try very hard to make sure that we are inclusive and that we're trying to grow the exhibits and really listening to residents of Summit County. They really have formed who we are. We do lots of surveys, we get lots of feedback, and we're going to make the zoo that you guys want to attend.
Thank you very much.
Well, you all have a wonderful night, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
Bye-bye.
You the host again, Katie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
I got some background noise from my neighbors. Is it too much? Can you guys hear it?
All right.
Are we
No,
okay? We're okay? Okay. Do you want to go ahead? We're going to continue with our committee meeting. We have one first reading, one second reading, no third or pending on our regular agenda. But we also have a supplemental agenda with a first reading. So we're going to move into Streets and Drainage Committee. Judy?
Thanks, David. We will start the meeting at 6:11, and everyone is present. Resolution number 20R39, a resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with GTD Associates for the design of the Benner Road Bridge project and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. And Paul, you probably want to speak to this, but it looks like your agreement covers everything, even to explaining to council in New Franklin what exactly it is that we're doing.
Thanks, Judy. Yeah, and I think it does. This is this Benner Road Bridge project, as you know, was we received a grant from the Ohio Municipal Bridge Program and through ODOT, and to the tune of close to $1 million for this bridge, which unfortunately we are responsible for. I want to note that the engineering costs here, GPD is our city engineer. Because of that, and with the, consistent with ODOT's regulations, even though the amount is in excess of $50,000, we do not have to bid this. The amount that's presented here for approval is $99,900. When originally submitted to the Municipal Bridge Program, it was estimated that the total cost of the project was going to be $1,050,000, and the engineering portion of that was going to be $139,000. The numbers came in about $50,000 less on that. GPD reduced their request for funding as engineers to $99,900, so they shaved about $40,000 off of this. When it was presented, it was a very competitive process down there. Not only did we have to submit a proposal, which GPD helped us put together, but I mean, it was a multi-page proposal with a bunch of exhibits. And then we made the finals, and there actually was an in-person presentation down in Columbus to gain final approval, and GPD was involved in that process as well. The 15%. Well, the amount, that's a lot of money for engineering on $1 million project. Well, it's a lot of money, period, just short of $100,000. I want to reassure you, the 15% of the construction and right-of-way cost is generally standard in that industry for the engineering work on a bridge. Those are the numbers that were submitted to Columbus with the proposal. And ODOT had no problem with that percentage. I actually double checked with one of our other engineering companies, because we got a couple other engineering companies that we work with, and I talked with the one on the that's helping us with the water project, and I asked him just to confirm that 15% being the standard. I think I saved this thing here somewhere. He came back and told me that actually a lot of times when it's ODOT, it's 20%. Yeah, in fact, let me tell you, he said, I checked with the head of our transportation department. If the project is ODOT funded, then it's more like 20%. If it's a local project, it could be lower. So, and the last thing I'll say on it is that in fact, it's even under 15%. It comes out to 12.25% of the total construction right-of-way cost. So I think the number is more than fair. GPD does good work, and they've been on board with this thing from the start. So we would like to get this approved. The actual the work is not going to take place until next July. But in terms of the timing on these projects, ODOT would like to see this approved. So at this stage, unless there's any reason for further discussion.
Does anyone have any questions on this?
Yeah, I do. Paul, is
Okay.
this a Is this 100,000 included in the grant?
No, the funding is this, that the total project cost now is going to be $1,007,105. The grant will cover 95% of the construction costs. The municipal part, and that's under their bridge program, they cover 95% of the construction, but we have to cover the other 5% and the engineering. So they will be covering, the total grant totals $861,845. The New Franklin share is $145,260. So the only good news I can tell you there is that the original projection, we thought it was going to be 185,000. And at this point, it's 145,000. And of this basically totally $1 million project. We've had conversations with the Summit County engineer to try to, when they've indicated some willingness to contribute some funds towards that 140,000. We're going to have further discussions with them. We're looking at other possible funding sources, perhaps OPWC. So we're still trying to gather the rest of it.
And Paul, it looks like some of this, because of that being a flood zone, some of the requirements they're going to have to really start from scratch on, if I'm reading this correctly, because they don't have anything that they can fall back on paperwork-wise. Am I correct on that?
I believe you're right about that. And I don't profess to be totally technically fluent on that part of it, but I believe that you are correct that it's in that flood zone and that presents some additional problems. In part, that was probably one of the reasons that the further deterioration, because as you well know, that road floods.
Yes, it
The
does.
last time we had those huge rains.
That's what I'm thinking in here, if I'm reading it correctly, that would be something that you're going to have to research thoroughly because there really isn't enough data on it.
I know that they're talking about raising the elevation on the road and raising the elevation on the bridge. So that's part of the engineering aspect of it. Because the last flood, it was up to the guardrails.
I think our next question would be to Susan. Do we have the money for it, Susan?
Well, yes, we do, and obviously, the New Franklin share for the construction won't be in the 2020 budget; it'll only be in the 2021 budget.
And there's stages
so
on
your
this.
answer is yes.
Yes, we will have to. Obviously, we'll have to have the money for the engineering part now because that's gonna start right away and carry through. But the other part, the $145,260 in the construction costs, will be part of the 2021 budget.
And I actually think, Susan, some of this, that portion of this, maybe as much as half of this, will go into the next year. So I expect we'll get billed sequentially on this.
And Paul, it's my understanding we must do this. It isn't something we can say yes or no. It has to be done, and it's our responsibility. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, this is a necessary piece. This is the way it was presented to them. So, yeah, I mean, the bad news is right now we're staring at $140,000. The good news is we're not staring at $1 million. Because the bottom line is it's our bridge and they have closed the bridge, I think, as you well know. We were moving along this path anyway, and we were hoping we could keep it open. Now the bridge has been closed. I have reached out to Lawrence Township too, by the way, but the answer so far has been that they don't have any funds to contribute to this. There's a big surprise.
I understand. Does anyone have any more questions? So what you would like for us to do is waive the 3 reading rule tonight?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will close the meeting at 6:20. If no one else has any questions?
All right, thank you, Judy. We'll move into laws and ordinances.
The committee, thank you, David. The committee will come to order 6:21. We have a second reading in our committee. It's ordinance number 20-0-02, an ordinance replacing ordinance 2021-83 and adopting regulations related to the registration of and solicitation by transit vendors operating within the city of New Franklin. And Mayor, we made a quick change to this. On page 3, we have an amended copy that provides for a $25 fee for multiple vendors that are soliciting under one application. That is, one application might be from ABC company who wants to come in the city, but they have 4 or 5 people that are going to be going through the city, and that would be the $25. Correct?
That is correct. And so I've suggested that amendment, and although I'm really anxious to get this passed, because we don't have, we have the old version, and I had also enacted a moratorium on, while we were in discussion on this, we haven't been issuing permits, and then COVID came, and we, consistent with the state of emergency, I put a moratorium on door-to-door. We have received some suggestion from at least one national door-to-door vendor who doesn't think that COVID is a sufficient reason to prohibit door-to-door. And there have been some courts that have agreed with them. So for that reason, I want to get this passed. But the final hiccup is this. We've talked about this last fall. We know NOPEC has a do not knock program. Councilman Kotz mentioned last time around, could we get them involved? And I had been in discussions with them, and they were willing to be involved. So I reached back out to them, and I was under the impression that we could pass this, and then they would assist us with the no-knock registry. I was advised late this afternoon that they would require the authorization of council to do that. And so I need to incorporate that into this legislation. And I can do that, and I'll have the amended version to you probably by the end of the day tomorrow. But we are going to have to go 2 more weeks on this. And the bottom line will be is it will replace subsection 5, which starts on page 3 in the exhibit. And we'll replace that with the full NOPEC language, which goes a couple pages. But then they do all the legwork, and they accept the registration. And Jim, that was a good suggestion. They'll issue, they take care of all the paperwork on it. They mail out to people the signs to put "Do Not Knock." So anyway, it looks like we need to go 2 more weeks on this one.
Okay, before we conclude that as an amendment, on page 4, restriction, it's that the vendor is permitted to engage in their business during reasonable business hours is defined, I think, between 10 and 9 p.m. 9 p.m. is, I think, a little late.
Yeah, I think it's horrible. And let me tell you what.
There been litigation? Do we have?
Yes, there has been litigation, and there has been successful litigation. And on one of those federal cases, not only did the court say that 9 o'clock was reasonable, and that the ordinance there, I think, stopped at 6 p.m. And the court said 9 p.m. was reasonable, and they awarded $50,000 in attorney's fees to the same firm that we're hearing from. And I did look at those cases, and our law director looked at them as well. So that's another long answer. I'm not happy about it.
Okay.
But
I certainly understand.
And they've asked us, I sent this one to them to let them know we're working on this and we're going to pass something. And they got back to me and said they'd like it to be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And we're not going to, they haven't shown me any case law on that one. So we're going to try to keep it we're going to plan to keep it at 10 a.m. until somebody tells us it has to be earlier. So
all right, thank you.
It is Monday through Saturday, at least, no Sundays.
And no holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody from the committee have any questions or concerns? with the amendment that we'll be getting about the NOPEC assistance in the registries, then we will go ahead and look towards passing this in 2 weeks.
Yeah, also, Andrew, I have a comment that says residents want no knock registry. Just reading the
Very
comment
good.
we got.
Very good.
Good.
Okay. Very much. Our committee will close at 6:30.
I got another question. If somebody's watching it on Facebook, they gotta turn their volume down. I'm getting feed, like a backlash of feed. Has somebody got something going on? No? I don't hear it now.
No, it's quiet now.
All right, good enough. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Andrea. We do have a supplemental first reading, and we're gonna put that into finance, Jim.
Good evening. We will open the Finance Committee meeting at 6:27 with our supplemental agenda. Resolution 20R40, a resolution authorizing New Franklin to apply for a Brine Justice Assistance Grant for the purchase of 7 Motorola APX mission critical radios and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. This is a grant for $25,000. The only cost to the city will be the grant writing fee of $850. There's no matching funds involved for this grant. The $25,000 covers the 7 radios for the police department. And I spoke with Captain Bickett this afternoon. He told me that there's approximately 25 radios available for the police. They're more than 20 years old. The batteries are failing. They can't get parts for them. They've even have taken over some of the old fire department radios as a replacement. And they have budgeted to do a lease purchase for the 25 radios, but now they're going to hold off to see if they get these 7, get the grant for these 7 radios, and then do the lease purchase for the other 17 or 18. We talked about it for a few minutes, and basically we came to the conclusion, agreement, whatever, that we really need to move forward on this grant, obviously, no cost to the city, and be able to pay for 7 of these radios, which are badly needed. But we also need to move forward on the 17 or 18 radios. We don't want our officers out there and having a battery die or whatever, and they don't have any way to communicate. And it's probably something that should have been done a few years ago, but hopefully the police department will be moving very quickly on. They've already gotten the bids from a couple vendors, so they already know what they're doing, how they're doing it, where they're doing it, et cetera. They just need to do it. So we're hoping that that can happen pretty quickly. Questions?
Paul, I would assume that we have sufficient funds for this. Because all we have to pay for is the grant writing. Am I correct? The $850?
Yes. Yeah. And we do. That's it. The grant. There's no other match.
Okay, so we'll ask to waive the 3 on this resolution and close the Finance Committee meeting at 6:30.
All right, thanks, Jim. Does anybody have anything else in their committees they'd like to talk about? All righty, then I'm gonna call the order. The City of New Franklin meeting, council meeting this Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. How about a time? At 6:30. I'd like to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thanks for the flag, Jim.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag
of the United
of the United
States of
States
America
of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Hargit?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Fetterman?
Here.
Mr. Hawk?
Here. Here.
Miss Morris?
Here?
Mr. Stock?
Here. All right, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular scheduled meeting from July 15th, 2020.
Second.
We got a first and second. Any discussion, questions on the minutes? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Hargit,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hawk,
Yes.
Miss Norris,
Yes.
Mr. Stock,
Yes.
Mr. Cotts.
Yes.
All right, passes 7-0. We'll move into our public comments. I haven't seen anything come up. Katie, you?
All right, nothing yet.
All right, we'll give it just a little bit. But you put that out there a while ago, so
Yeah.
we'll give them about a minute here, then we'll move on. All right, that's close to a minute. Again, we have one first reading, one second reading, no third or pending. We have one first reading on our supplemental agenda, so we'll move into our first readings off our main agenda with resolution number 20-R-39. Kelly?
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with GPD Associates for the design of the Benner Road Bridge project and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the 3 reading rules for resolution number 20-R-39.
Second.
We have a first and second roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hawk,
Yes.
Miss Norris,
Yes.
Mr. Stock,
Yes.
Mr. Cotts,
Yes.
Mr. Hargit.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0.
Make a motion. Sorry, David.
We need to adopt.
Oh, you're good.
I'd
We have a
like to make a
motion.
motion to pass resolution number 20-R-39.
Second.
Motion on the floor and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hawk,
Yes.
Miss Norris,
Yes.
Mr. Stock,
Yes.
Mr. Cotts,
Yes.
Mr. Hargit.
Yes.
All right, thank you. That passes 7-0. We'll move to our second reading, which is ordinance number 20-0-02. Kelly?
An ordinance replacing ordinance 05-83 and adopting regulations related to the registration of and solicitation by transient vendors operating within the city of New Franklin.
David, we're going to request time.
All right, time requested. Time has been granted. Again, no third readings or pending legislation. We'll move over to our supplemental agenda with one first reading of 20-R-40, Kelly.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to apply for a Brian Justice Assistance Grant for the purchase of 7 Motorola APX Mission Critical Radios and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
This resolution has been assigned to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the 3 readings on Resolution 20-R-40.
Second.
First and second, roll call, please.
Mr. Fetterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hawk,
Yes.
Miss Norris,
Yes.
Mr. Stock,
Yes.
Mr. Cotts,
Yes.
Mr. Hargit,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
All right, passes 7-0.
We move to adopt Resolution 20-R-40.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fetterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hawk,
Yes.
Ms. Norris,
Yes.
Mr. Stock,
Yes.
Mr. Cotts,
Yes.
Mr. Hargit,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
All right, that passes 7-0. That's going to take care of our legislation this evening. We're going to move on to the mayor's report. Paul?
Let's see. I was on a conference call with about 45 other mayors and Governor DeWine at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and talking about the things you would expect. Finance, as predicted, revenues are down. There's still money sitting in Columbus potentially for municipalities. We've already received 400,000. We could get another 400,000 from that fund. There's also money sitting in Summit County, which is about to be distributed. They keep saying, did it come in yet, Susan?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, and that's to the tune of about another 450,000 or so. Still struggling with limitations on how we're going to be allowed to spend that money, and specifically whether we can use it for payroll replacement. Everybody thinks we should be able to, but so far they haven't said the magic words in Washington, D.C. to make that happen. As you're aware, they're battling there in D.C. over this next round of COVID funding. I am advised that there's an argument whether cities ought to get any further COVID funding. And I asked the governor a question about that when asked, because what's coming out of Washington is, particularly unfortunately out of the White House in this case, that the cities don't need the money because all they do is waste it. That's really sad. I know the governor doesn't believe that. So that's a handicap. But I'm told that at a minimum, whether or not there'll be any additional funding from Washington for municipalities, who knows? But they are saying that they're going to try to correct that language in the CARES Act that limits how we can spend that money. So I don't mean to go on and on about this, but this is a big deal to us. That's, to the tune of maybe $1.6 million. We are watching that closely, and we're lobbying anywhere and everywhere that we can. And in the meantime, we've talked with all our department heads 2 days ago about continuing to keep the belt. Well, actually, it was yesterday. It just seems like 2 days ago. Keeping the belt tightened and understanding that, the tough economic times may go on, will almost certainly go on into 2021. We're comfortable. We're okay, but we're not being, I think we're not being frivolous, and we're trying to be frugal. I'll keep you posted. I hope by the next time we meet that will be resolved. I expect by then they'll have something passed in Washington, and I do believe that they'll clean up the problems with the language. The governor also talked about the rising numbers of COVID in the rural communities. Here in New Franklin, I had somebody send me an email, wanting to know what's going on in New Franklin relative to number of cases, because they're making decisions about whether or not to send kids back to school. I've mentioned this a number of times, but we've had a total of 27 cases reported in New Franklin, but 25 of those have occurred within the last 28 days. So there's clearly an uptick here. I have no information on hospitalizations, et cetera. The governor said something kind of, one of the guys and one of the mayors said, hey, is this a crisis just because we got more tests? And he said, well, it's kind of like, whether, is it a financial downturn or is it a recession? If you got laid off, it's just a financial downturn. If I get laid off, it's a recession. So, if you get COVID, it's not a big deal. If I get COVID, it's a crisis. I don't know. What he did encourage everybody to do was to continue to be vigilant and follow the directives and stay with the social distancing and wear masks and do those things that hope they keep the schools open and keep the economy buzzing. And we are observing all of those things here in New Franklin within the city. Water timelines. We had a call with the Ohio EPA on Monday, and the bids have already gone out on this. And I just found out a couple hours ago, it probably will be November that they'll actually start construction. So that means if they do in November, certainly by this time next year, the water will be up there on 93. Again, there's no assessments, there's nothing mandatory. It's going to be available for people to tie in. It will come up Renninger. We're looking at where else we can bring it without, and at no point do I anticipate any mandatory tie-ins or assessments relative to water. We're just going to make it available, and we're working on doing that as economically as we can. And our zoning office and our development people have been working on a conceptual design for what State Route 93 might look like. If when we get the water, the sewer will be close behind, and can we reach that some of those goals that we had a long time ago, back in 2002 when we did the comprehensive plan, with some commercial buffer with some residential behind it, and so we're going to be proposing that, and you'll see that. We hope to be in a position to sort of unroll that within 45 days or so. So we will keep you posted. The Tudor House, as some of you know, well, all you know, most of you were there, and we had a proposal. We're doing fine with the Tudor House. It sure didn't help. I mean, things were rolling last year, and we had all those great events, and the bookings were solid, and we had turned a profit, and then COVID came, and Cherie's done a great job of trying to keep people on board there. But for years and years, we've talked about trying to put a pavilion out there, and even more importantly, maybe a 4-season room that we'd be able to use for all of our events, and certainly would expand the booking possibilities. We were approached with a proposal of somebody to come in and partner with us on that, and put structures up at their expense and manage, while we continue to own the property and have full access to the property and have the full say as to what goes up, and still have full use of it for all of the events that we want to would want to participate in, and get out from underneath the maintenance of the house as well. So it's an interesting proposal. The reason I mention it now is this: it is just that. It's an idea. It's not an agenda. We're going to have plenty of discussion on this. I've already had some feedback. Some of it's been positive. Some people have reservations. I think I will say that some of the people who have reservations, unfortunately, didn't get to hear the whole story. And we'll see. We'll see what makes the most sense. But I think what's most exciting is that there's excitement out there now, and people know it's there now. And we probably had 2,000 people there last year that maybe weren't there a year before that, or 2 years or 3 years before that. When we add up the Christmas event and the clam bake and the 4th of July and the Oktoberfest. So there's excitement out there now, and we got a really strong board. So as we continue to talk about those ideas, I anticipate another kind of town hall soon, and where maybe in the presentation that we got the other night, I'm going to see about getting that on having that videoed, so we can download it and people can look at it and see the whole really what I called last night a SWOT analysis, the strengths and the weaknesses and the opportunities and the threats over there, and what we might want to do there. So that is, when I say it's a work in progress, it's at the first stage of it. And nothing's going to happen fast. You folks will have to approve it if and when it happens. And everyone will have, we got open ears to, there were some good ideas, good thoughts just the other night, that, okay, we got to think about some of those things. So we will. So that's that for the Tudor House. I think I talked about the CARES Act. And lastly, the dispatch, we're having another meeting on Friday with the mayor and Mayor Nuggebauer. And the law directors are taking a look at the formative documents for the Council of Governments, the COG that would have to be formed to allow us to do joint dispatch. So assuming that the conversation is positive still on Friday, I would anticipate having legislation for a first reading at our next meeting. And that would be legislation authorizing the formation of the COG for purposes of creating a joint dispatch with the city of Greene. And we fully anticipate 3 readings on that, plenty of time to vet that and discuss it. And we will have, during the course of that, firm numbers in terms of projections as to what the expense would be. You know, I think we all know what some of the advantages would be. I think we increase our level of service, and we also address some concerns relative to staffing. So, and it's the future. It's regionalization. It's going to happen, and we want to be in front of it, not behind it. So that's all I got.
All right, thank you, Paul. We'll go into the finance. Susan?
I don't have too much except to let you know that we are done with our audit, and we have a clean audit. We only even got 1 verbal that they just note, and that's kind of unheard of. So we were really pleased. Good job for all of our team over in admin finance. So we're really happy about that again. That's all I've got.
That is a big deal. Susan Cook, Diane Snyder, Christine Lippincott, Karen Morello, and really a tribute to the whole staff at New Franklin, because everybody's got to follow the rules and everybody's got to cooperate with what Susan needs to make the accounting work and the audit work. And they don't give a whole lot of those rewards. We missed it by a whisker last time, and it really wasn't even our fault, but it looks like you'll get another plaque for the wall on this one, Susan. So that's a big deal, and it's very much appreciated. And it speaks well of the whole city, quite frankly, when that happens.
Thanks to all of them.
Exactly, I agree. Very good. Thank you, Susan and staff. All right, we're gonna move into our old business. Anybody have any old business? Jim, you're smiling. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry,
There
my
you go.
family just got home.
Oh, there you go. Anybody for any old business? Going once, twice. All right, new business. New business. Going back to Facebook. All right. No new business, huh? Moving on. Going to our questions. I have not seen anything, Katie. Have you?
No, and I posted that a few minutes ago, so
All right.
it might be clear.
Can you see how many viewers we have tonight?
We're at 13 right now. Been right around there for most of the night.
All right. We'll give them a minute here to see if they got a question for us. Paul, we don't have no executive session tonight, do we?
No.
All right, thank you.
They did ask the governor again live about the 10-person for public meetings, and that is still in place.
All right. Would that be 10 counting us or 10 extra?
10 counting us.
Oh, okay. Well, that's, yeah, that ain't gonna work. I am not coming up with anything, Katie.
Nope.
All right. So no need for executive session. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All right, we got first and second, roll call. Or all in favor, I'm sorry. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, ayes have it. Our next council meeting, which is sure going to be Zoom, huh, Paul?
Yes.
All right, will be August 19th, 2020. We'll be getting together at 6 p.m. for our committee meeting. So everybody out there is keeping an eye on us. Thank you for watching and good seeing everybody. Good night.
Thank you, David.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.